Hey, the world might be on fire, but guess what finally has a new toy line? The Simpsons. I feel like I never really talk about the fact that Simpsons is one of my main collections. One of my favorite toy lines of all time is the World of Springfield line that Playmates did back in the early 2000s. I adore The Simpsons. It's one of my favorite things to actually put on the shelves. And even though Super 7 did some Simpsons figures, I never picked any of them up, and I guess that's the reason why I never had a reason to review any Simpsons stuff. But now, it looks as though Jakks Pacific is about to absolutely inundate us with a whole new wave of Simpsons merchandise. Jakks Pacific, the company that has been making the amazing Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario toy lines for the last several years, they've decided to throw their hats into The Simpsons. Not only are there going to be a new 2-inch and 6-inch figure line, but they're doing a number of one-off figures and props. I just want to kind of check these guys out. I'm not necessarily looking to make an entirely new collection, but I am curious, and if they're good, then hey, maybe this is a line I can kind of pick up the characters I really enjoy, you know? Besides, any company that wants to make an actual talking Krusty doll from Treehouse of Horror 3 is alright by my books. I think the funniest thing about how Jakks Pacific is targeting The Simpsons is the fact that they're using the same strategy they used with Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario. Their main line is going to be the 2-inch line. You have the most characters there, you're going to have the most variety of figures, and this is the size that's going to get all the playsets. You can already get the living room of the Simpsons house, and I believe they have a bus on the way. It's supposed to be Otto's bus. Meanwhile, the Simpsons figures are going to be 4 to a wave. They're not going to have as many playsets, but they'll probably have things down the line if the line is successful. But the reason why I want to start with these guys is because it really feels like this is where Jakks is throwing a lot of their efforts right now, is in these minifigures. So right now, you can get these figures in 2 ways. They're doing this big family multi-pack. It's going to give you all the Simpsons family, including Santa's Little Helper and Snowball. Granted, I don't know which Snowball that is. You look on the back, oh, it's officially Snowball 2. Cool. I think we're on Snowball 5 right now. I forget. But, yep, this Homer is also in the living room playset. So if you get everything, you're probably going to be double dipping. Alongside that, you can get these individual figures. You can see I have here Ned Flanders and Chief Wiggum. Look on the back, you can also get Homer, Bart, and Lisa. The difference there is though, even though Bart and Lisa are the same as in this pack, this Bart and Lisa come with a skateboard and a sax respectively. So this is the way to go if you just want the characters. If you want the playset, you're going to get a second Homer with I don't think any other accessories. But if you want the skateboard and the saxophone, you have to get the individually packed figures. But I just tried to get all the characters they've put out so far. If I like them, I might pick up the playset. I don't think I need to double dip on Bart and Lisa. Why don't we look at the main family first, and then we'll check out their neighborino and, I don't know, whatever you want to call Chief Wiggum. Getting the main Simpsons family all out of the box, I do think that overall these figures are pretty solid. They go for about $5 a pop when you actually get them in the single packs, and when you get them by themselves, this gift pack is $20. So I think you're getting good value here. Even though Maggie and Santa's Little Helper and Snowball are all smaller, they're also about the size of what an accessory would be for each of these figures. So I think it's a decent value, at least from what their other price points are. The only question is, how are these figures themselves? Looking at Homer first, and I really like the sculpting here. It's simple to get Homer, really, but every now and again you do see some nightmare faces when people try to get this design in 3D. I think overall, Homer is good. I hate that you can't really see his hair from head on. His forehead is a little too long, I think. It's hard to actually see the hair up here or the hair on the sides, but it is there. Maybe if you just shrunk the forehead a little bit, I think the proportions would work better. The face looks solid enough. You have good, clean paint on the shirt, and the pants down below look fine. And then you have his shoes. In terms of articulation, you have a swivel at the head, you have a universal at the arm, and then the legs can go together. There is no individual leg joint. All the figures are like that. That's so that they can easily sit down. Overall, I think that's decent for a figure this size. Keep in mind, we're talking about a 2.5 inch figure here, and it's a good weighty figure for that size. Overall, I like Homer. I honestly think Marge is a much better figure, though. I think they got her hair perfectly. It does kind of look like, I don't know, a weird blue ear of corn, but at the same time, that's just kind of how Marge's hair looks. I think they got her face well. She has her necklace, she has the dress and the shoes. Her articulation is exactly the same, universal down here in the arms, and you can sit her down. Overall, though, I think that she does capture the design a little bit better. Whereas Homer had the weird forehead, this is literally just Marge. It looks like she stepped right off the screen. Looking at the original main character of the show, I think Bart looks fine. His mouth is really weird because it's actually kind of like dipped below. A lot of figures do that with Bart. I don't think it ever looks good. I kind of wish that they would give him a more pronounced chin just to kind of help really show what he looks like in the show. As it is, his entire head just looks really strange. He has the same articulation as the rest. Oop, I say that, it's very tight in his arms, my word. Yeah, the other one goes, so this one might just be a bit paint stuck. And then you have down here the legs. Bart is probably my least favorite out of the entire set. Lisa also has a really weird shape to her mouth. I'm not big on it, but at least it kind of works better here. I think they captured her hair better. She's not as good as Homer or Marge, but it is solid enough. You have the same points of articulation. Oop. Kind of like Bart. The joints are a little bit stiffer on Lisa. I wonder why. But yeah, so Lisa, probably the middle of the pack here. Maggie just looks great. I'd go so far as to say this might be the best figure of Maggie I've ever seen. You can see they've actually sculpted her so it looks like she's stepping forward. That's great. She has articulation in the head, and she can move her arms. There's no universal, it's just swivels on her shoulders, and of course she can't sit down. What I'm curious about is, can Marge hold her? Not really. And also, I just realized this Maggie is weirdly out of scale. Look at that. I guess there's only so small you can make a figure. I wish Maggie was a bit smaller, but honestly, out of all three of the kids, I do think that she is overall the best figure. Santa's Little Helper looks great. You have swivels in all four of his legs, and you can move his head around, make him look really, really dumb. Oh, I just noticed, you can also move his tail. Awesome. Santa's Little Helper, not the brightest of bulbs, never has been, and I think they've captured his character really well with this somewhat doofy figure. Snowball, very similar to Santa's Little Helper, really solid rendition of the figure, all the same points of articulation as Santa's Little Helper. She has a little bit more paint on her. Yeah, I like Snowball. I think this works well. Overall, I'd say the family multi-pack is pretty solid. Bart's head is weird, Lisa's head is also somewhat weird, but all five of them are decent figures, and when you consider the fact that you're technically getting 7 separate toys here for $20 and they're all pretty well painted and sculpted, I'd say it's a bit of a steal in a lot of ways. But can you actually fill out the town of Springfield with the other figures? Now, Ned Flanders for Wave 1 of the toy line makes complete sense. He's one of the most consistent side characters in the entire show. But Chief Wiggum, that one really surprised me. I mean, I could understand a Mr. Burns, Krusty, Moe, even Itchy and Scratchy maybe. But Chief Wiggum, don't get me wrong, he's been there since season 1, but he's never exactly been an A-lister. But even still, I take that as a sign that Jakks has confidence in this line. We know that they've already advertised a bunch of figures to come out. I think this is just to show, yeah, we're willing to do some of the more obscure characters up front. I say obscure, Chief Wiggum's had a spotlight episode basically every season. Looking at the box for the individual packed 2-inch figures, you can see you have the figure in the front, you have Bart and Homer just kind of hanging out in the front. What's really cool is you have an up-close photo of the toy head right there, and then on the back you can see the figure and the other figures in the wave. Like I said, you could get Homer, Bart with the skateboard, Lisa with the sax, Chief Wiggum, and Ned Flanders. Boop, there's what Flanders looks like. Side profiles. Overall, I think I'm more interested in Flanders, but why don't we get them both out of the box and just see how they feel? Here's what I was not expecting. I think both of them are better than the main family. Let's look at Wiggum first, and then we'll check out Ned. Chief Wiggum is easily the most bang for your buck when it comes to this price point because, well, more plastic went into him, he has more paint, and he has all these little pieces that have been glued onto his belt to really fill him out. He has a great head sculpt that looks just like him. Adore that. Alongside that, you have the actual same articulation as the others. Boop, boop. universals in the shoulders, and you can sit him down. You can see they've painted on the handcuffs, they've glued on the gun, they've glued on his nightstick, the belt goes all the way around. They've even gone to the trouble of painting the belt loops. Huh, that's cool. Yeah, Chief Wiggum. It looks really nice, and this is a design that I thought they'd have a hard time with just due to how, let's say, rotund he is. My Flanders is a little bit wonky. As you can see, his eyes are a bit misaligned. I don't know if that's going to be common or if it's just on mine. It doesn't bother me too much, but it's there. The head sculpt, though, perfect. It looks just like Flanders. I really love how they captured his mustache. Here's something that's cool. They sculpted the eyes behind his glasses. Usually on a toy like this, they would just have the glass go all the way back, but no. You could take these off and have the eyes there. They're probably not painted, but they're there. You have the good paint for his collar, same articulation as the other figures. I go so far as to say that Ned is the winner of Wave 1. I think he looks the best, feels the best. Wiggum would be number 2, and then honestly I'd put Marge as the best of the family still. Here's all the figures for scale, and I'm gonna say Maggie's not the only one that's too big. Bart and Lisa are also way too big. They should be about Maggie's height, and Maggie should be somewhere in between Santa's Little Helper and Snowball, honestly. But overall, good first wave. I'm really digging all these 2-inch figures. And for anyone curious, here Homer is alongside the 2.5-inch tall F4A Homer. Yeah, Jakks wins. Here's the wave I'm really curious about, that being the 5-inch articulated figures. I only got Homer so far, but you can see that Wave 1 is made up of Homer, Bart, Otto, and Groundskeeper Willie. Even more weird picks. Groundskeeper Willie, sure, everyone loves him, but Otto? He's not been a main guy since Season 3, and we're on Season 34. But it's kind of cool that they've gone, again, with some B-listers to go with the heavy hitters of Homer and Bart. You can see here on the back, we get Homer, we get a box of donuts, and we get one donut that he's already eating. We have the figure of the photo of the figure right there. I'm really curious how this figure feels. I looked at Otto and Groundskeeper Willie in the store. I don't like how their articulation cuts look, but if this figure's good, I might check them out. Color me impressed. Homer is actually really nice. The articulation cuts are not all that pretty. Like I said, that's what really drove me away from getting Groundskeeper Willie and Otto, but the figure looks and feels so nice. This might be one of the best Homer head sculpts I've ever seen on a figure. It's basically the 2-inch one just blown up, but you can actually see the hair now because it's popped up. Good, it's actually sculpted in on the side. I was not expecting that. The expression was already great. Good Homer head sculpt. Going down though, you can see the articulation. We have a swivel at the head, universal at the shoulder, a good universal at the elbow, a universal at the wrist that's very tight, a swivel at the waist, a good ball joint at the hip, a deep single joint knee, and a swivel at the foot. You're not going to be able to get him into like a super crazy action pose, but you can get him into a handful of good poses. It's great. Keep in mind, the Simpsons aren't the most energetic of characters. If Homer did a high jump kick, it'd be for the sake of a joke, not because I expect him to. Yeah, that's about the best kicking pose I can get him in, but at the same time, that's basically the pose he takes whenever you use his kick in Simpsons Hit and Run. In terms of accessories, you get this half-eaten donut, and also this pink donut box. Opens up, boom, and what's really cool is you can actually take the half-eaten donut, put it inside, and then you have the full baker's dozen. Great. I'm kind of sad it doesn't actually say like Lard Lad or anything like that on the box, but that might be asking a bit too much. After all, the figure only goes for about $12. And for $12, you're getting a good, hefty figure with a lot of paint, good sculpting, and I am really struggling getting this donut into his hand. I know it can go in there. Come on, Homer. Work with me, buddy. There we go. But yeah, for what you're getting here, I think this is a really good price. I don't know if the other figures from Wave 1 would match it, but I'd say this is a really awesome price point for these Simpsons figures. If they can all be around Homer quality, it's really a bargain. Here Homer is alongside his 5-inch World of Springfield counterpart. I've never liked the head sculpt of Wave 1 Homer. I think this is the best Homer in my collection now. Awesome. It actually makes me want to go and buy the other Simpsons figures now. Jeez. Oh well, at least it's on an expensive line. That just leaves the single figure that made me even want to check out this Jakks line. That being their 14-inch tall talking Krusty doll from Treehouse of Horror 3. I'm going to let you guys know right now, I'm not unboxing this thing. I love the box too much. I love that it's perfect. It is a perfect recreation of what you saw in the show. I like it too much. But I can still show you a couple things about this Krusty. Why don't we start with that box, seeing as how I've touched it up so much. You can see Krusty's head here. You have the talking Krusty doll, and then all the stars around it. On the side, just talking Krusty doll. On the back, you have problems, call 1-900-DON'T-SUE, and the pull string, we'll get to that in a moment. And then same thing on the side. Again, exactly how the box would have looked in the episode. If there's one thing I'm not a big fan of, it's actually the head sculpt. It is a perfect recreation of the nightmare face that we got from the Krusty doll inside the episode, but when he was in the box, he just looked like Krusty. Alongside that, I don't have another Krusty plush, but I do have another Homer plush. I might have bought 2 of these if I thought I could pair this Krusty up with that Homer, but quite frankly, now it feels like it has to be the Krusty doll as opposed to potentially just being a doll of Krusty, if that makes any sense. What about that pull string on the back? Well, it's because this doll has some electronics, and we have a couple of lines from the episode. Making Krusty look like an absolute nightmare, I can pull the pull string.
Krusty the Clown, and I love you very much.
That's his first line from the episode, that's great. Pull it again.
I'm Krusty the Clown, and I don't like you.
That's from where he's just about to stab Homer. Weirdly enough, I rewatched this episode recently. That laugh is not from the Krusty doll, that's just a normal Krusty laugh. Even still, it works. It's a deranged laugh for a deranged looking clown. And hey, why not? Here Krusty is alongside my Playmates Homer plush. Honestly, Homer looks almost as deranged as the clown does. Overall, I'd honestly say that these Jakks-specific Simpsons toys are some of the biggest surprises I've seen in the action figure world in a pretty long while. They're all cheap, but they're all super fun, well-articulated, good sculpts, great pulls from the episodes. It makes me excited to check them out. And hey, Jakks is really striking while the iron is hot, seeing as how we're in season 34 of this show. Good God, it's gonna outlive us all.